Hello, welcome to Soulprint Intuitive Tarot for April 1st, April Fool's Day. Well, you definitely have one of those in your country. Okay, so I'm pretty sure it was Lido, God, I hope I got that right, who asked me a really interesting question. And for those of you who regularly comment, in the comment section, you'll know the name. You'll be familiar with his comments. But he asked me a really good question, which was what is it that Trump has that sort of allows him to keep those Republicans in line almost beyond logic or sanity? And I also got another comment from somebody else who said that they knew Trump. I think it was in university, and I'm sorry, I don't remember your name. I'm horrible with names and numbers. You probably figured that out already, though. Now by now, eh? Okay. So, anyways, and she said that Trump literally had like a very dark energy that swirled around him, and that people literally sort of got sucked into it, like a vacuum. And so I'm sure that that's a good part of it. I'm sure that's part of the answer, but I actually think it has to do more with greed. I happen to think that for the most part, it boils down to they found somebody even greedier than them. They found somebody who would so flout convention that they literally could just get away with anything. And man, while the getting's good, they're going to get, because the politicians who have been around for a while, the Republicans, they understand how incredibly abnormal this is. They know that this is crazy what's going on. And now more and more they're seeing that the writing is on the wall. And so this is this is kind of like the surge of people who ran out and bought toilet paper, okay? It's like you got to grab everything you can while you can still get it. And that is literally the mentality of the Republicans. So I'm going to see what my cards and the universe has to say. So that's my question. Come on down. Okay, so Trump and the Republicans. What is the story there? One more quick shuffle. And let's see if we can find out. Trump's hold Republicans. Trump's hold Republicans. Trump's hold Republicans. Okay, honestly, part of it is they're scared of him. Sorry, I've got too much light coming in here. See if we can block some of that sunshine. Okay, so, much better. Thank you, darling daughter. Okay, so here we go. Honestly, all I would have to do is read these two cards. Well, okay, and these two cards. And honestly, that really sums up the entire reading, okay? He is a bully. And he doesn't care what the law is, and neither do they, because they have been given this blatant permission to steal as many cookies from the cookie jar as they can. Not that they weren't doing that before. What has changed is he has made it perfectly acceptable to be absolutely blatant about stealing the cookies, right? At least before, if they got caught with their hands in the cookie jar, they would shove their hand behind their back. Nowadays, they just stand there, look at you in the face, and keep on chewing the cookie, for God's sakes. Money. It's about the almighty dollar. That's what motivates Republicans, okay? So we shouldn't be surprised when somebody literally opens the doors to the vault and says, knock yourself out, that's exactly what a significant number of them have done. And I repeat, the Democrats are not pure as the driven snow, but they are still being a little bit more careful, not quite so blatant. They're greedy. They're just greedy. They're going to hang on to every single last thing they can. And he has simply given them permission to steal. Take what you want. Go ahead. To the victor go the spoils, except Trump doesn't understand that his victory is limited. And he doesn't understand that there's going to ultimately be a wee bit of a price to pay for this. That trade, that brand, the Trump brand that he is so proud of, is going to be absolutely decimated. It's just really, really as simple kind of as that. Some days you just gotta love tarot, eh? There's the Fool making his appearance very early on April Fool's Day. Yeah, you know what? Honestly, in many ways, Trump was a dream come true for the Republicans. He really was. He has no moral compass. As long as you stroke his ego, he will absolutely comply. He'll do whatever you want as long as you tell him that it makes him look good, and he's incredible and he's amazing and he's the best you've ever seen. And they figured that out. They figured that out fairly quickly. And so he really, for them, is like the cherry on top of the sprinkles on top of the chocolate sauce on top of the ice cream on top of the cake. Okay, he encompasses almost the pure darkness of that greed-focused attitude, and so they're making hay, right? I mean, literally, they are dancing in the streets. Not only were they able, through his election win, to get back into a position of power, or really, really consolidate that power. They understood that with that power, they could obscure all kinds of things, because until 2018, for sure, nobody was sort of, they really did have, what is that, a fox watching the chicken coop, because they could do whatever they want. Nobody could push back. So then 2018 came along, and thank God in heaven that the Democrats were able to take back that House and start putting at least some brakes on the insanity. But honestly, in many ways, what that did was it simply encouraged a lot of them to become even more devious and deceitful than they were in the first place. It was as if they had to learn sort of how to rebalance or rejuggle, but it didn't actually stop what was going on, okay? So they literally are going to do and take every single thing that they can take, because they understand that this scenario is coming to an end, and that's just the reality. And the other part of it is this, right? They are going to ramp up. I mean, speaking of money, they are going to ramp up the deficit to such, and they already have, to such, and now with this whole corona thing, oh my Lord, they are ramping up that deficit to a place that is almost going to be backbreaking to try to recover from. And they're smart enough to know that they don't actually have to give a tinker's damn. You know why? They're not going to be in office to be held accountable come January 2021. So they're leaving a huge big mess on the next president's plate. And isn't that kind of what happened with Bush and then Obama? Just saying. Maybe it's a little bit of a Republican pattern. But they don't have to be the ones to clean it up. And unless the Democrats hold not only the House, but take the Senate and the White House, they're going to be able to then spend the next 4 years, 8 years, 12 years, however long, because it's going to be a long time until they get any significant power back, bitching and complaining about how the Democrats don't do it right. And, and again, starting up that slow build, that momentum. And let's face it, it worked. Okay, it may have taken them 20 years or however long it was for there to slowly, brick by brick by brick, build that pushback against abortion rights, against same-sex rights. But ultimately, McConnell's a turtle. And what is that, expression? Tortoise and the hare bet on the turtle because he'll get there eventually, right? Slow and steady wins the race. So this is a strategy that has worked for them before. So don't be surprised in the coming years to see them again kind of pulling the same stunt. And let us hope that Democrats are smart enough to know that they need to push back against this. With the abortion thing, what happened was everybody was like, listen, this is law. Like, come on, no one's going to revisit that. Well, guess what? It got revisited in a real big way, in a real big hurry. And so Democrats have to be really mindful of the fact that the likes of Mitch McConnell really, really do play the long game. Okay, they don't care if it takes them 15, 20 years. They now have gotten so many judges, really conservative judges in the court system, that it really is going to take a long time to recover from that. And so they accomplished their goal. And because they had Trump in office, that was even better, right? Because he didn't care. Whatever. Tell me whatever I have to do so people will love me. And oh, yeah, sure, I'll sign that. I don't care. I don't even know what it means. Can somebody tell me what this means? My God, the other day he said, can you imagine that there's more than 155 countries in the world? Who knew there were that many? As literally they're reporting that 177 countries are now reporting the coronavirus. Like, dumb and dumber and dumber and dumber. He just, it's mind-boggling, okay? So kind of that is sort of the foundation of what has created the environment that the America now finds itself in, right? Because up until Trump, there was always that sense of nobody would push too far. They could be shamed. They could be shamed into appropriate behavior. And with Trump, they figured out that, you know what, we actually don't need to feel ashamed because we can just slough it off. We can just write it off. The latest thing is they put in all of those oversights into the handing out of some of that money going to the big corporations. And then I think it was like the day yesterday, something like that, where he signed something else to limit the oversight powers and hand a bunch of it back to the presidency. And this is the kind of games they play, right? So that's that situation there. That's really what it's all about. They have taken thievery, cruelty, superiority to levels not ever seen before. Well, or certainly not seen in America for a really, really long time. I suspect that maybe there was a fair amount of that attitude going on, going back a few hundred years until they abolished slavery. And of course, let's not fool ourselves, certainly past that too. But it's the most remarkable thing because it's like they don't care anymore what they're exposed to be, what they are shown, that they show their true faces to the world. It doesn't matter to them because Trump has made it perfectly acceptable to be corrupt. It's like somehow in the Republican Party, corrupt became the new cool. It's cool to be corrupt. It's cool to be cruel. That's the legacy. That is the legacy that Trump is going to leave behind, not to mention all the other horrific legacies he's also going to leave behind. He is going to be spending so many lifetimes, and not only Trump, there's a few others who are going to be spending so many lifetimes trying to wash the blood from their hands. You can't envy that. What a horrible, horrible journey for a soul. And they can't go back, right? They're sort of almost like beyond the point of redemption, certainly in this experience, okay? The universe wants you to know that justice comes. Justice is called karma. Justice can sometimes be called fate, but it comes. And the moon is lovely in this because it says it often comes in the shadows. So there's going to be suffering that they experience, and in many ways they're not going to really be able to get a grasp on why it's so painful, why it is so difficult, because it's shrouded. Just like for every one of us, our past lives, for the most part, are shrouded. We don't really have enough details to be able to say, well, I did this, and so this and this is the exact result. And so, keep that in mind. There's going to be hard and painful lessons that a lot of them are going to ultimately need to learn for the damage and destruction they have caused. But while they have caused that exact damage and destruction to others, they have done it to themselves. They have, in fact, they have actually stabbed themselves in the back by dancing behind the fool, by mindlessly following his merry tune, right? They just follow it. In some ways, it's like they're mesmerized by him because, it feels as if he has just given them permission. And you'll notice that they don't even attempt to defend themselves anymore. They really don't. They don't care. They don't care what you think. They don't care what their constituents think. They don't care what the country as a whole thinks. And sadly, they do not even care anymore about what they have done to your country's reputation globally. He made it okay to not feel shame. And if you can't be shamed, there is not a way to rein in somebody's behavior. And so, because they are so busy partying and celebrating their good fortune in getting this man as a president and their party leader, they really, for a long time, were actually almost oblivious to the fact that the very foundation of not only their party, but their own political reality and their own political existence was on really, really shaky ground, and that ultimately that behavior was really, really going to bring him down. They didn't see it. They were too busy stuffing the courts with conservative judges and giving, corporations massive tax breaks and figuring out how to screw the disenfranchised and the people at the lower ends of the economic scale, and the veterans and the disabled and the people of Puerto Rico and Okay? Because man, oh man, they were looking at the buck. And they're not going to, they didn't understand that judgment was going to come down. It was going to come down really harsh. And a lot of what they were going to be judged for was not only their attitudes, but a lot of it has to do with commerce. And whether that is commerce within the United States or commerce internationally. Okay? But judgment will come. Judgment's going to come soonest at the election, when many of them are going to lose their exalted positions. And there he is. There is their king. He is their rock star. Don't kid yourself. Why do they follow him? Does he have blackmail on some of them? Probably, sure. Does he have is he aware of some of the pies that they have their sticky little fingers in? Yeah. Except he bellied up to the bar and said, "Give me a piece of pie." Okay? So they're going to follow him like lemmings right over the cliff. And that is a fitting end. It really is. It's a fitting end because democratic countries are built on a society that follows the laws, where everybody agrees that this is the rule and this is how we react and this is how we behave and this is what we do when somebody blatantly breaks the rules. And they're destroying that. And ultimately, they're going to be the ones carrying that judgment and that burden. Excuse me, sorry. I gotta tell ya, this card keeps coming up every time I read on Trump and every time I, sort of focus in on the GOP. Four of Swords, you know what? It talks about retreat. It often talks about illness. Sometimes it even will talk about, the demise of someone. So it's just curious to me that this thing continually comes up these days. I maintain, you know what, you're going to lose. There are going to be some high-ranking officials within the government who are going to be sidelined. Sorry, thank you. Excuse me. So that's kind of where we are there, right? Yeah. They bought into the crazy. They bought into the delusions. They partnered with him like Romeo and Juliet, right? That young, innocent love, and everybody was starry-eyed by the magic, and everybody forgot to read the ending, where they all end up dead. Okay? So there's the disappointment. There's the crap, okay? It's disillusion, it's fogging up the mirrors, it's deception, it is all of it. And they just, settled really nicely into that little pattern of behavior. As the months go forward, and there really is a sense that things are not rapidly improving, that things are actually getting worse. And that amazing amount of money that, he said that they were going to hand out now, that you're not probably going to get for 6 weeks. Okay, well, that's great. But what happens for May? What happens for June? How are they going to maintain this? Or can they? So what's going to happen is more and more people are going to be looking at how they're handling their money. They're going to be looking at allocation of assets, and they're going to become less and less enamored with what they see. And honestly, the Republican governors are also in some really big trouble. Okay. And interesting, because I'm pretty sure it was yesterday that both of these queens came up, the Pentacles and the Cups. And I was talking then, and it really is reading the same today, where what the country needs is that caring, that nurturing, that understanding, the compassion, the empathy, and in many cases now the sympathy. And they're incapable of doing it. And the money that they give out is not going to be enough, and it is not going to pacify people. People often say, look, I'm really scared that, Trump's giving out all this money and people are going to vote for him just because they got the money. But that might hold true if your election was on May 31st, or maybe even June, okay? June 1st. And boy, oh boy, you can bet the Republicans would then figure out how to vote by mail. But it's not. November is a long ways away. And after what is going to be a brutally hard summer, people are going to have about had it with him. They're going to have had it with his ideas. They're going to have had it with his yakking mouth. They're going to have had it with all of it. And so it almost doesn't matter what he does today or tomorrow, because by the time that actual election rolls around, it's not going to have been enough. And the cruelty and the callousness is going to become amplified day after day after day, as really, frankly, the insanity continues within the government. So I don't know if that was a good news reading or kind of a depressing one, or what that was exactly. But that's kind of it, right? I mean, the GOP found literally the devil that they could bow down to. And en masse, they did that. And over the cliff, like lemmings, they go. You just have to be patient. But trust me, it's coming. So, again, yesterday, the United States hit a really horrible, sad milestone. The deaths from the coronavirus have now exceeded the number of souls lost on 9/11. I think in some ways that was a really unfathomable, I can't even say talk today, word. It was hard to imagine when that happened all those years ago. And in many ways, this is even harder to wrap your brain around, because there is the really clear understanding that this isn't a one-day event. This is going to go on for days and weeks and months, and the numbers are going to keep, escalating. So again, I really, really encourage you to stay positive, turn it off, go watch comedy reruns, okay? Really. White Dragon, that Aquarius, look, I got it right. Aquarius Age Things. He has that Esty shop. He is having a party, just checking out all of the old, the Carol Burnett show and the MASH and whatever it is that you can find to distract yourself. Go laugh, go run around. I don't know, in your living rooms, because you really can't go outside. Just do what it takes to distract yourself, because the news is going to get harder and harder. And you know what? All of you are going to get enough news to stay informed. You're going to get enough news to know what's going on. But don't immerse yourself in this, okay? Because it is exhausting. And frankly, you're going to need your energy to get through the next weeks and months, okay? So go find something to laugh about. Maybe learn to have a couple more cat naps during the day. And for those souls of you out there who are domestic, maybe go on a couple of baking marathons. That's always fun. Although I wouldn't know, honestly. I really am that person who doesn't cook if I can absolutely avoid it. And for those of you who have been very generous about being concerned about my throat and my voice, I am back actually to drinking tea with honey and lemon and, maybe a little extra something. This has just been going on for like weeks now. So it's not anything that I'm honestly kind of concerned about. And I think, frankly, part of the reason it's lagging is because I kid you not, here in central Alberta, even though the map was supposed to be, or the calendar was supposed to be informing Mother Nature 2 weeks ago that spring had arrived, she's not so much agreeing. And like literally yesterday night or the day before, in southern or in central Alberta, we got snow. And I mean, not buckets of it, but, a good couple of inches, okay? For goodness sakes, it's April. Let's stop this nonsense. So part of it, I think, is just because, you know what? There's not a whole lot of fresh air, right? I mean, the house has been sort of closed for a while, and there's a lot of animals running around here. So we just need the sun to come out and the temperatures to warm up, and all the windows to get opened, and to rebalance the energy of the house. And I'm sure I will feel better soon. I am taking everything I can possibly take to stay healthy. And but golly, I sure do thank you for your care and your concern and your good wishes and your prayers. Just means so, so much. All of you, please, please, please take care. Be well. And I'll see you really, really soon. Bye-bye.